I'm here in California, which is where I want to live. I've always wanted to live. It's where I am from. But I live in Boston. And I've been there now 20 years. And I have a family and a career and a husband and dogs and a life and all these wonderful things that I enjoy. And
those who won't come with you can be easily replaced.
They all want to come, actually. Oh my God, it's hilarious. So the question is about, if you want something and it's not coming, then you're throwing resistance on your trail.
If you want something and it's not coming, it's because you're giving more attention to the absence of it than the presence of it. Every time, no exception. You have to figure out what you're doing on a moment by moment basis that does that.
Well, what is
sometimes it's not even on exactly the topic. In other words, sometimes you're doing that relative to a lot of things that don't have anything to do with the move you want to make.
Okay.
In other words,
maybe what comes to my mind is the variable of my children. I wonder sometimes when
that messes you up every time when you're integrating another person's desires in with your own.
And maybe I do, because that's sort of entertaining. Everyone who knows me, like, oh, you're the one who wants to live in California, you live in Boston.
And could, but doesn't.
There's just tremendous stuff happening, and I know that the future's wide open. Like that person just said, like, I'm doing what I'm doing, and then other things are going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. You can be happy wherever you are. So something that's a very simple rule of thumb is make a decision and then line up with it. So the worst thing that you can do to yourself is to want to live in California and live in Boston. The best thing you could do is to live in Boston and focus upon the positive aspects of living in Boston, or live in California and focus upon the positive aspects of living in California. But the worst thing that you can do, energy-wise, is to do one while you're wishing to do another. And so the lining up of energy is what really matters. And so if you could get off the subject of it for a while and just focus unequivocally on all the wonderful things, once you come into alignment, your true heart's desire will be satisfied. That's just always the way that it is. Sometimes people say, I don't really know what I want. And we say, get happy, and the universe will give you what it knows you want. Oh, but I don't know what I want. Yes, you do. You've been putting it into the vortex for a long time. You keep putting it in there. It's known, it's real, and it's understood. So just get happy and watch it be delivered to you. And so sometimes there's just a little too much hands-on. There's a little too much wanting to manipulate it into a being, and that's what's causing all of the confusion. Deliberate creators, you're really interesting because you want to be deliberate creators, but you want to be deliberate doers, creators, makers, thinkers, happeners, instead of deliberate allowers. It's like you don't understand that you've already created it. It's already in the vortex, and now you're allowing what you've already put there to happen. It's like you don't trust your own vortex. And the reason you don't trust your own vortex is because you haven't been allowing your own vortex to flow to you freely, because you've been micromanaging it, because you've been micromanaging everybody else too. You get in this habit of trying to control things instead of just get into that place and trusting. Trusting is tricky if you don't understand the laws of the universe. If you don't have a strong basis of worthiness and understanding that things are always working out for you, then it's not easy to trust. Then you're wanting to micromanage. Then you're wanting to make sure that everything's working out for everybody else, and you can't do it, and then you get tired, and then you want to move to California.
I have sort of put this off, and yet what I want to soften is that when I hear you say, every time, if you aren't getting what you want, it's because you're throwing resistance in your path. And I say, well, shit, I want to live here, and I don't live here.
But maybe you are getting what you want. In other words,
this is what I need help with. I want to be in a good
If the
space.
place doesn't matter, let's look at it this way. Let's say that if someone were looking, and someone is, into your vortex, and were to acknowledge what you really, 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 really want in terms of a place. And let's say it is known by all that is that what you really, really want is a California lifestyle weather. That's what you really, really want.
People and food.
But it's not the only thing that you really, really want. You want many things.
Yes.
You want many things,
yes.
But that is something that you really want.
Yes.
So that is something that is bubbling in your vortex. That's something that you do want. And let's say that you are focused upon these things that are good and these things that aren't so good and these things that you want and these things. And so you sort of have a mixed vibration going on. So you're not allowing the universe to yield to you a clear, easy, soon path to what you want, because you're in this sort of micromanaging mode. So let's say you decide for just a little while to say, okay, I trust that everything that I want is in the vortex, and I trust that all of the cooperative components have been gathered there, and that now it's time for me to just cool my jets and stop trying to make things happen and just allow myself to hear the call. So when people say, what do you want about that? You say, those decisions have already been made. I'm just waiting for the plan of action.
That's what I've been doing.
I'm just waiting for the plan of action.
It just hasn't shown up, it feels like.
But that isn't what you've been doing.
Okay, tell me.
What you've been doing is micromanaging it. What you've been doing is keeping your vibration in sort of scattered place by thinking about it too much from both perspectives. And the universe is responding to your patterns of thought. And if your patterns of thought are stay or go, 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 California, Boston, California, Boston, California, Boston. And so when you feel stuck someplace, it's because you're doing a thing like that.
Well, it's like I can't go now. I can't go now. So I just have to make peace with this now.
Well, making peace with where you are is always a really good idea. And do not misunderstand. We are feeling no impatience about any of it. It doesn't matter from a broader perspective where you are. The only thing that matters is that where you are is satisfying to you.
That's what I want.
And here's the question that we want to put to you about everything. Could you be more satisfied than you are?
Always.
The answer is always yes. Could you make more money? Yes. Could you have more vitality? Yes. Could you have more clarity? Yes. Is there a place of better, more consistent weather? Yes. Yes, 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 yes to everything. The answer to that is always yes. But the question that most of you rarely ask of yourself is, am I willing to give myself permission to have what I want? And the answer is almost always a resounding no, not quite yet, for all of these reasons. And we say, what?
But what does that look like? I don't know what that looks like that I'm doing, that's saying no, not yet, for all of these reasons. Except that I don't have the cash to do it.
Looks like that.
Is that it?
Looks like that. Looks like trying to satisfy too many masters. These are the questions that we want to ask you, all of you. Do you, right now, as a result of what we've been chewing on for a while here, do you accept that the vibrational reality that we refer to as your vortex is real? Since it is real, do you understand that it is vibrational in nature and that it is offering a signal? And do you accept, can you get your thoughts around, your inner being is standing there in the middle of that signal, boosting it, boosting the signal by giving undivided attention to it. So you have become a vibrational reality, and your inner being is it, and is radiating a steady, strong, consistent signal that includes everything you want. Not just what you want, but the means to it also. So do you accept that? Can you feel that? And so now, can you feel yourself as the one and only possibility of being an uncooperative component? Because law of attraction has gathered all of the cooperative components, and your inner being stands there surrounded by that, ready to move toward what you want. For what reason? To get there? No. For the satisfaction of the motion? Yes. For the satisfaction of the evolution? Yes. For the fun along the way? Yes, 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 yes. So is it possible that where you are is part of the fun along the way? That's the piece for you.
Yeah.
You got to make where you are part of the fun along the way, because you're still clarifying where you are is not in the wrong place. Where you are is part of the fun along the way. So as you stop clinging to where you are in an attitude of wrongness, and you accept that it's part of the fun along the way, because the fun is in the movement. So isn't it nice that you are somewhere on your way to somewhere? Aren't both somewheres important?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you give too much attention to the somewhere where you are, what does that do to the journey? Slows it way down. If you just appreciate where you are If you are accepting of where you are, accepting, such a good word, accepting of where you are, accepting of where you are, blessing it, appreciating it for all that it's giving you. So nothing's gone wrong. It's not wrong that you're one place instead of another, because you're always in motion somewhere. The question is, are you at ease in the movement?
So remember you said you don't need to focus will yourself into liking worms, eating worms, right? So I feel like the best of life happens when I really just enjoy where I am, what is there to enjoy. And yet, I make myself like things that I actually don't prefer.
Here's the thing. Sometimes people think, they'll say, I'm not happy in this relationship, or I'm not happy in this job, or I'm not happy, should I leave? And sometimes we say it's a good idea for you to, as someone said, cut ties. But always we say, remember, you'll be taking yourself with you wherever you go. And sometimes people fear that if they make the best of where they are, that the universe will say, oh, well, she's satisfied here, so let's just let her stay there. And that's not how it is, because the vortex trumps everything. The vortex trumps everything. Yeah. This vibrational reality trumps everything. You do not need to worry. You're always being called to what you have created and to what you've been asking for. And so we just can't say it in a simpler, louder way. Well, it could get louder, but it can't get simpler. Is that how you feel is completely up to you. And if you're feeling an impatience about something, that means it's time for you to move on. If you are consistently feeling impatient, it means you are pulling against your own desires. This is a really strong statement. We made it really for the first time in a powerful way yesterday, is that negative emotion is always the indicator that you're pulling against your own desires. You're pulling against your own desires in some way. And so soothing that negative emotion is the way you stop pulling against it. So it seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? So I want to be in California, but I am in Boston. And I feel uncomfortable because I don't have the resources yet to make the move. So I'm feeling aggravated and agitated. Impatient is the best descriptive word. I feel impatient. So now I'm going to soothe my impatience. Well, what's the best way of soothing my impatience? Do I say, it's lovely here? Or do I say, all in good time? And aren't they different?
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to live happily ever after here. Does that soothe impatience? No, that inflames it. How about if things are unfolding all in good time? That soothes the impatience. Does this soothe the impatience? Well, I want to be in California, but it's just not economically viable, and so I'm probably just going to have to settle for being here. Does that soothe the impatience? No, it inflames it. How about this? Everything that I need or want always comes to me in time, and it's fun figuring out how to allow that to happen. In other words, just keep finding a way to acknowledge that where I live is a horrible place to live. Does that soothe your impatience? No, that inflames it. Where I am is just right for now. Does that soothe your impatience? Yes. Just play around with it until you find those things, because the point isn't, you think it is, but it isn't. The point isn't moving to California. The point is being happy where you are. Yeah. The question is, can you be happy where you are if you think you're never going to move to California? No. Do you get the distinction there? So it's all what you're doing with your vibration in your mind. Anything is possible. There's too much reality going on. And you told us why. You have a big life. You have a lot of friends. You've got a lot going on. In other words, there's a lot of intertwining.